This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And on this beautiful Wednesday after what was in State College a rough Tuesday night, it was rough here. Power's still out all over this town. Trees down. Power lines down. And there was video on Instagram up in the hillside area where it looked like it may not have been the perfect definition of a funnel cloud, but it looked like a funnel cloud. So, yeah.
I was going to say there's a bunch of trees down in Sunbury. It knocked over a building in Sunbury last night.
Well, so much for the Suits warehouse.
Yeah, well. There's trees down all over the place.
I kept telling him not to use cheap parts.
Yeah. Actually, this was an old brick schoolhouse, I'm told.
How about that?
Yeah, and it must have been I'm a weather guy. I'm not, but it must have been pretty gnarly. I was in it. I was actually driving, and I was up above Lewisburg and pulled off for a while, coming back from Williamsport. But when I got back into Sunbury, man, they closed down I don't know, I guess you would call it the north end until this morning for the most part, just to clean it up and such.
I mean, there's still power out here all over the place after this last night. I was playing golf last night, and when I mean last night, I mean yesterday afternoon after the show. And when I got done, just like maybe 5:45, I went in, and two friends of mine happened to be in the clubhouse. So I talked to the two of them for about maybe 15 minutes. Then I went over to Wegmans on the other side of town. It was my turn to get dinner. So if it's my turn to cook, that means I'm not cooking. And because I want people to live. And I picked up what I needed to pick up, get in the car, and driving back, and it's really getting darker and darker. I literally got in the driveway. One drop hit the windshield. I said, that's it. I grabbed everything, went in, and then it just unleashed. I mean, and I'm talking wind and rain. Well, hopefully the vast majority of you that went through this were properly insured. This half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV, Medicare products, whatever. They will take care of it at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Yeah. Rough. Very rough.
Like I said, I was coming down from Williamsport, so I was coming down over the hill just past Montgomery, and you could see you were driving into it. It wasn't raining, and you could see like 500 feet ahead of you. It's just pouring.
Yeah, right.
And it got pretty. It's as nasty a storm as I've seen in a little bit around here. At least I've been in. How's that?
Right. No, it was obviously. I mean, it was the wind above all.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the wind. So, yeah.
I was going to say, even for the tennis match I covered yesterday, when the sun was out, it was pretty breezy. So, I guess that was the harbinger of what was to come.
Right. Well, we'll see. It's obviously very, very tough. We got Jody McDonald today. We have Frank Bodani today. Dick Girardi will be on the show Friday, by the way. Talk about the Kentucky Derby. This is where, this race is part of the Suits long-term pension plan.
Just trying to help.
which explains why he's still working here. Yeah.
Which reminds me, when we were talking about damage, it got one of the hospitality tents at Oakmont when it came through there, too.
Yeah.
And not one of the small ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting, of course, in the valuation of quarterbacks, Bruce Arians weighed in, and he was asked the question about the biggest reason young quarterbacks succeed or fail. So he explained to Jason Jenks about when he knew Andrew Luck had what it took to succeed. Arians asked Luck to diagram a play from earlier in the day. While Luck did exactly that, Arians tested him. That's not what I said. Luck didn't skip a beat firing bat. That's exactly what you said. At that point, Arians said, nope, he's big time. You know who else was great at doing that? Joe Paterno. Joe Paterno, if you took a stand on something, and he may have been exactly on board with what you were thinking, but he'd take a contrarian viewpoint because he wanted to test your conviction. He wanted to know if that deep down in your soul you believed it and you were willing to fight for it. Whether it was an opinion or strategy. Interesting, isn't it? And Arian said about Luck, I knew that when tough times came, and they always do for young quarterbacks, he could handle it. It wouldn't crumble him. After all my years in the NFL, I think that's the number one indicator of whether a player in general and quarterbacks in particular will succeed or fail. How do they handle failure?
I think that's obviously for young quarterbacks it's huge, but I think that's huge for any athlete.
Sure it is.
I mean, you're going to fail more times than you're successful.
Well, unless you're Wilt Chamberlain, who shot 60-something% for the field. I mean, no, just kidding.
I just did read a quote from Ken Griffey that he cried because he made the last out in a game, his last game of the year in Little League, and it was the first time he had made an out the whole year.
Yeah.
So,
good.
Then you can be perfect, but...
Right. Well, but that is part of it. You do fail a lot in this. You go through a practice. You watch a practice. Is anybody out there practicing perfectly? Okay? No. Now, it doesn't mean they're not trying. But every once in a while, the other guy on a particular rep is better. They have their moment. And you have to bounce back from that. Because in the game, you're going to have to bounce back from it. You're going to throw an interception in a game. And the whole world's going, oh, golly, he's just awful. How do you bounce back from it? Okay? The Steelers drafted Will Howard, Penn State game. Throws a pick six to Zion Tracy. Bounce back, threw a touchdown pass to Emeka Ibuka. Okay, that's bouncing back. Stuff's going to happen.
Go back to the weird play at the end of their regular season game with Oregon.
Yeah, strange. And bounce back from that. They won the national title. Despite having one where it kind of hung over him. That play hung over him until they beat Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
That one play automatically made him not good in the clutch.
Right. And you have people you have people that enjoy taking shots at the man in the arena. And they enjoy it. And that's been one of the great faults of social media. It's okay to be critical. You can be critical of something. But the problem is when it becomes personal. Like something I've always advised students about is stay away from the dramatic adjectives or adverbs, whatever the construction of the sentence happens to be. He's absolutely horrible. Okay, is he absolutely horrible? Now, it sounds dramatic. It sounds ear-catching. But is it real? I've always told the story about Tommy Armour III. Won twice on the PGA Tour. My brother and I are at the Greater Hartford Open, and we're just walking around. We happen to get to the 10th hole. And people have heard me. You've heard me tell this story, right?
I'm not sure if I know this one.
Yeah, no, I've told a few times on the show. And I mean, look, the show's been going for 13 years. You're gonna retell stuff, okay? It's just but the audience also changes over as well. Meanwhile, Dick and Milton's like, oh, geez, not that story again. All right, I don't blame you, Dick. So the 10th is a dog leg, not a dramatic, but it's a slight dog leg right. He hits it off the tee. It bounces into the wooded area, barely in, but it bounces into a bush. It does not bounce under the bush. It bounces into the bush. It's like 6 inches off the ground. And Kevin and I are looking at it because we happen to be walking up. We're like, what the heck? So Armour comes down, goes to the center of the fairway, looks, comes back, goes back out to the center of the fairway, looks, comes back, and he then asked his caddy for a 4-iron. Now he's right-handed. Now that helped because the ball was on the left side of the bush, so being right-handed, he at least get some contact with him. He takes it and hits it out of the bush and slices it around the corner onto the green 20 feet from the cup. Walked up, sunk the putt, got a birdie. The point of the story has always been this. Tommy Armour and others who have their tour cards, or the 1,500 others that are in the NFL, or the 650 to 700 hockey players, the 510 NBA players, or in Major League Baseball, the 780 players that are on the Major League level. They don't stink. They're just not as good as Tiger Woods. They're not as good as Saquon Barkley. They're not as good as Jason Tatum. Okay? They're not as good as Connor McDavid. They don't stink. They're there. Do you know how many billions aren't there? There are 8 billion people in the world. 780 play Major League Baseball. 8 billion people in the world. 510 play in the NBA. 8 billion people in the world. 160 have their tour card. Okay? What do you got, 1,700 NFL players? There's 8 billion people in the world. Come on. Stink? Absolutely awful? No, they're just not as good as that guy.
Do you know the story of the younger Eagles beat writer who, one time on Twitter, this is probably like 8 years ago, he's actually still around, said that he could make contact with a major league pitcher. He didn't think it was that hard.
Oh.
And one of the WIP guys is a former Division III pitcher, Jack Fritz. Told him that you could not get a hit off of me. You couldn't even get a hit off of me. So they went out to the baseball field, and you couldn't even get a hit off of him.
Yeah. Wow. Well, no, I mean, there's all. In other words, the number of people that say they can hit the ball off the left field wall at Fenway Park. Well, I could reach that. No, you can't. I'll never forget the 2009 New York Penn League All-Star game was here. Brock Holt, who was an All-Star and the only player ever to hit for the cycle in the playoffs with the Red Sox, was playing for the Spikes. And J.D. Martinez happened to be one of the All-Stars. They decided to host a, quote, celebrity home run derby. Okay.
At Bowman?
This is in State College.
Okay.
This is at Medler Field. Okay. And Bowman back then would have been, the fences at the old Bowman were like 345 feet down the line.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah, 345 one side, 350 the other. It was like, ooh. But at Medler Field, it's 325 down the left field line, 320 to right. But then it really goes out to now it's like 384, it's 399 dead center, it's 375 right center. And this one guy says, I'm going to hit 10 home runs. So he says to me, right? Which is fine. And I looked over, and I'm being playful here, but I says, you're going to hit none. He goes, no, I'm going to hit 10. I said, I'm telling you, that's further out there than you think. I said, you're not going to hit any. And this guy had played high school baseball. I said, that's further out than you think. I said, I just don't think you're going to hit any. He says, all right, I'll revise it then. Okay, he says, I'm going to hit 2. I said, you're not going to hit any. He goes, oh, no, you're wrong. I said, well, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see you hit 2. Because I said, that'd be great if you hit 2. He got up and he took the first 4 swings, and he hit the ball really well. And he put his hand up, paused, walked over to me, says, oh, my God, you're right. I'm not going to hit any. Because it's further out there than you think. And that's how talented these guys are. Even a guy, he only hit 6 home runs this year. You know how hard it is to say it's 6? Kind of puts in perspective what Aaron Judge does on a yearly basis, doesn't it? You're just that good. Right? And so you have, and again, it's part of that social media culture. Most social media is great. Okay, most of it's great. Nice, whatever. But it's the ones who then use it to criticize that do it anonymously. You're like, well, come on. Be critical of somebody, put your name to it. I don't care. And then, of course, there's you saw what happened with Jeff Ulrich. Mm-hmm. $250,000 fine for the Falcons, $100,000 for him because his son was a part of the prank on Shedeur Sanders. You may or may not like Shedeur Sanders. You may or may not like the Sanders family. But people are people. He's been waiting for this call his entire life. Now, we can laugh. Oh, yeah, he didn't do the first round. Oh, he got through the second day. He's a third-day guy. Okay, if you want to feel that way, you can feel that way. But put yourself in his shoes. He's waited for this call entire life. And I don't know whether the kid called or a friend called or whomever it was. I think it was representing the New Orleans Saints. And they punked him. Well, and what Shedeur Sanders had done is he had picked up another phone with that specific number for the NFL people to call that nobody else was supposed to have access to. It wasn't his normal cell number. And Ty Warren, I think, got called as well. And you wait the entire time. This is your life here. This is your livelihood. This is what you've been working toward your entire life, to get that phone call and to find out where you're going to play next. Whether you're disappointed about not being a first-round pick, whether you're disappointed about not being a second-day pick, that's okay. And then to have this happen, What's wrong? I mean, what's wrong with this person?
I don't know if interesting is the right word, but it sounds like this is way more common than previous thought, because it happened to a couple guys last year. It happened to Tyler Warren and a couple other people this year, and it was. They said they're completely separate incidents too.
Hey, what's wrong with people? You take great joy in that? I mean, I don't understand where any level of joy comes from. I'm completely confused.
The level of joy comes when you go viral, or that people know your name now. I like I said yesterday, I just think it's part of it is this is how younger people get famous now, is YouTube and doing dumb crap, and it's just I don't know how you change it. I don't know, because I don't know how familiar you are with the Paul brothers, but they went to a suicide forest and filmed something, and there was no real in Japan, and got banned from the country 5 years ago. And I mean, they're still around. So I mean, it's one of those deals where I think kids don't understand the consequences of their actions to other people right now.
And evidently, Drew Rosenhaus said Abdul Carter got a call when Jacksonville was on the clock. They said they knew it was BS, and we didn't tell his family about it. Like, what is it? Well, I don't see what the joy is. And like, oh, what, you're going to make yourself famous? How about like carving out a career, putting, working? Let's try that. Let's work.
That takes too long, man. That takes actual effort.
And Kyle McCord's on that list, Mason Graham, Tyler Warren, and Chase Lunt.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And great to have you with us on the show today, brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Joined now by one of the best in the business, unquestionably in my mind, and that's Jody McDonald. Jody, Mac, my good friend, how are you? It's great to have you with us on the show today.
Always my pleasure, my friend. Thank you very much for inviting.
Let's start with the Eagles. For some odd reason, they were drafting last. I guess that's what happens when you win everything. Then they moved up, and they got a guy I think was in their top 15 in Campbell. What was your thoughts on how the draft played out for Philadelphia?
A little bit of a surprise with the first pick. Not that it's a bad pick. I just didn't think they were going to go with linebacker. Talked to a couple of different draft experts, and even I saw an interview with his Alabama coach who said he can play either. He can play linebacker and or move up to the defensive line and be a pass rush specialist. You don't really need a linebacker unless you know Nakobe Dean is not going to be able to start the year, but they take Jahad Campbell, who's potentially not going to be ready to start the year because he's also recovering from an injury. Long term, I think he's going to be a very good player for the Eagles. Don't know exactly how he fits. If he's good to go and they're going to play him on the edge and he's going to bring pass rush and he's going to replace Josh Sweat, then that's perfect. But we don't know that that's going to happen. But I think over the long haul, 5 years, he's going to be a heck of a player for the Eagles.
Yeah, and see, I think to me, Jody, when you're the Super Bowl champion, you are making luxury picks, and I think they made. I mean, with him, I think they made a luxury pick. That you can sit there and say, "Hey, we're in good across the board," but down the road, this guy's going to help us play. Is that fair?
I think that's very fair, and they've got a lot of faith in Fangio. Howie's got a great staff. They've got great scouts, but I think they're taking a lot of advice from Vic Fangio off his production last year, best defense in the NFL. So I think they're giving him a lot of latitude to be involved and maybe even pick directly players. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a Fangio pick. I wouldn't go quite so far as to call it a luxury pick, but you're right. It's not a given that he's going to pay immediate dividends from week 1 of next year.
And then they went Makuba at safety. And look, they've had changeover in the secondary. With some changeover in the secondary, what did you think of that pick, taking him out of Texas after his 3 years at Clemson?
Was good. I was a big fan of Nick Amanwari, who absolutely set the combine on fire with the athletic things that he did. Went back and watched his tape. Oh, he was that good. And he did drop down into the second round. I knew the Eagles would probably favor Starks, the kid from Georgia, because they always like defensive players from Georgia.
Right.
So they took a safety. I thought that's who was going to be with their first pick. Once they got into the second round, they took the best available safety at that spot, and that is a position of need. So if he's as good as advertised, he's supposed to be a very good cover safety, which means they're going to need Blankenship to step up and play the run as well as he did this past year again. He's got a chance to step right in and start. I know they love Sidney Brown as a player, as an athlete, as a guy, as a motivated individual. But he gets hurt often. It looks like they're trying to push Dallas Goedert out of town, and the word is because he doesn't play 17 games a year. He missed 7 last year. Sidney Brown never plays. He's almost always hurt.
Right.
So I think it was smart that the Eagles got another option at safety to step in if Sidney Brown is not ready to not only play full-time, but stay on the field full-time.
Interesting that it's that 6 of the picks were defensive side players.
No, because that's where they had all their losses via free agency.
Yep.
They had locked up all their offensive guys, their star players, and given them lengthy mega contracts. So they needed to fill some holes and upgrade on the defensive side. So they did exactly what was necessary.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's have some fun. Let's talk about horse racing. I want to talk with a race that a lot of people love but don't usually talk about. That's the Oaks on Friday. What is your thought? Now, I know there's a great favorite in this, but what's your thought on the Oaks, the favorite, and also the competition that she could have?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to sound like a chalk-eating weasel, but Good Cheer has been just that good all year long. Has not lost 6 for 6 lifetime and wins open links almost every single time. Now, Brad Cox, who trains this horse, has a very good horse still in the barn, who won the 2-year-old juvenile last year for the Phillies, but has been injured and just hasn't been able to get up to speed, is not ready for this, didn't run in any of the prelims, so wasn't going to be in this field. But later on in the year, we might see a showdown between a couple of Brad Cox fillies, but I don't see how the 6-5 favorite Good Cheer can lose the Oaks on Friday. I'd love to be able to. I've handicapped it, and I've attempted to try and get someone who I think can run with her. Lacare, the second choice as per the morning line odds, is probably the second best horse. In other words, I'm telling you, I think the Oaks is going to be a very favorite-filled race. Yeah,
and then the quiet side would be the other single-digit to 1 out there at 8-1, and that's, But again, that's if you're boxing. Maybe you want to do that, especially in a 14-horse field. So.
And Quiet Side, unfortunately, drew the 14. I'm willing to go out as far as the 11 with Good Cheer, but the 14 is very far out, which means she's going to have to run very far, so I won't be playing her.
When I was out at Santa Anita Super Bowl weekend, Michael McCarthy came over and sat down and talked with us for a while. He is going to have the favorite in the race. That is journalism. And not only is journalism the favorite in the race, you talked about Quiet Side starting out at 14, Jody. How do you feel in a 20-horse field? How do you feel about the 8 spot in a 20-horse field?
8 spot's a nice spot.
Yep.
The rail is difficult because you have to go. And, oh, by the way, Baffert's 2 horses drew the 1 and the 4.
Yep.
So they're both going quickly to the lead. And then I think that there will be a major battle on the front end. East Avenue is also a horse that does run with a lot of speed. A horse that I'm already pot committed to is Owen Almighty, who drew post position number 20.
Yeah.
And if you're that far out, usually you try and go to the lead. You expend a lot of energy up front. From what I understand, they're going to try and come off the pace. When he's run his best, he's won races wire to wire. But they are going to try and get into a decent spot to be a off-the-pace horse. Not coming from way far behind, but probably a little bit of a stalking spot. Should be in the top 5 or 6, but he will not be on top. I have no idea whether that's going to work for him. He's never tried it before.
Right.
So this is not usually the horse you want to experiment with something new, not the race you want to do in the Kentucky Derby, but that's what they're planning on doing with Owen Almighty from the 20. I've got a lot of money already tied into him in the Kentucky Derby future books, so I'm hoping that it works like a charm. I'm doubting it. I won't be playing him on Saturday. I've already got enough invested in him. Don't have to double down on it. The horse that I think that can give journalism the hardest time is Sovereignty, who also drew outside post position 18, but gets its regular jockey back, Junior Alvarado.
Yep.
From what I understand, he's completely over his injury. He's good to go. He's never lost on the horse. Bill Mott is as good a trainer as there is. I think Sovereignty has the right running style in a race that is going to be very fast early and is probably going to come back to the pack. Sovereignty is a horse that can come from well off the pace, and I think he might be able to catch them all late in the stretch, much like last year. Sierra Leone came up just short.
Yeah.
Japanese horse came up just short. They were all closing, but Mystic Dan, because he did it the shortest route coming up the rail, was able to win it. I think we're going to see a similar race this year. Speed will not be there, and it'll be whoever's got the best kick late.
Since it's Derby 151 and not 150, Bob Baffert's allowed to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sarcasm dripping here. And he brings in, as you mentioned, Citizen Bull and Rodriguez. Rodriguez won the Wood. Mike Smith's aboard. Where can potentially Rodriguez fit into this race based on his running style?
I'm going to try and beat him, and he was very impressive in the Wood Memorial. Got the best speed figures of any horse in any race, not named Journalism, leading up to this Kentucky Derby. But again, I think it's just going to be too fast on the front end, and I don't think he's going to make the lead. I think either East Avenue coming in from outside, who was also at a ton of speed, and he ran a good second at Keeneland and just got beat on the wire, and his stablemate, Citizen Bull, who, for value's sake, I'm going to use him in my exotics. Probably not on top, but second, third, fourth, exactas, trifectas, superfectas, because if he goes off at 20-1, he ran poorly. He stopped badly in the Santa Anita Derby, his last race.
Yeah.
But prior to that, he was the best horse as a 2-year-old and the early stages of the 3-year-old year.
Yeah.
So I think they just throw him out because he had a bad race last time. He had good works coming into this one. He's got to go because he's going to be on the rail. So I think he will be the one who's going to be on the lead. I think they're going to run Rodriguez into the ground. Chances are all three of the speed are going to stop, but if I had to bet one of them, it would be Citizen Bull, not Rodriguez or East Avenue.
Because, I mean, for the uninitiated out there, not one horse in this race has run 1.25 miles. So that's going to be one of the keys on this as to who can handle the additional distance. What is it about Journalism that is impressive? I know the horse has not been beaten, but what is impressive about him?
Well, his last race was very impressive because he had been a horse that had been, like Rodriguez, like Citizen Bull, needed to be at or very close to the lead, and that's how he'd won all of his previous races. In the Santa Anita Derby, kind of got shuffled back. He kind of got blocked. Outstanding ride by his jock and had the wherewithal to get up and just blaze through the stretch at Santa Anita. But the fact that he won doing it differently than he had previously was impressive because in a 20-horse field, a lot of stuff goes down. You never know exactly how it's going to play. He showed that he has versatility, and that's why he's your 3-1 favorite.
Yeah, and 3-1, and something tells me it's going to. I could see that horse maybe being 5-2 by the time it goes off, possibly.
If it's going to move, I think it's more likely to go down to 5-2 than up to 7-2. So if you can live with 5-2, he's done the best this year. He is a legitimate favorite and should be the favorite, and I think will go off as the favorite. If you're willing to play a favorite of 5-2, you don't always get 5-2 when you bet favorites, but in a 24-horse field, you should get at least 5-2. If you like them, I would not complain about 5-2 if you're betting on Journal.
Look, you love this sport. How do you like to play the big races? Do you like to just play a winner? Do you like to box it? Do you like to go trifecta? How do you like to play them?
It depends on the race and depends on how I've used different strategies every year in the Kentucky Derby. After doing 90% of my handicapping so far, the way I'm probably going to play it is with sovereignty on top on almost everything I use.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of horses that I have to respect and use underneath, Citizen Bull being one of them.
Yep.
The Japanese horse, Lux Cafe, last year. Japanese horse has never done anything in the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
Well, Forever Young came up 2 noses short. He almost won the damn thing, so I don't think you can just toss him out because of the Japanese horse. Journalism absolutely has to be used. And I'll give you, and my Owen Almighty I got to use just because, like I said, I'm already pot committed on him.
Yeah.
I'll give you one other one that I don't think he can win, but can he finish in the top 4 and be part of a major exotic? Yes. Cole Battle, who also is 30-1, isn't nearly the well-bred horse that a lot of other horses in this race are. Started his career on some of the smaller tracks in Louisiana. I'm not talking about the fairgrounds. I'm talking about Delta Downs and Evangeline. But he does nothing but win. And last year, his style reminds me of Mystic Dan, who last year came through the Arkansas. They both ran third in the Arkansas Derby, came up the rail, won it all. I think Cole Battle's got a chance to be that kind of horse and be in the money coming off the pace. And he'll be a really good story if he does one, because this is a little David against Goliath.
Exactly, and Lonnie Briley's the trainer, and let's face it, that's not going to be a name like Pletcher or Asmussen or, the ones we talked about, MacArthur, any of that. Like Lonnie Briley. Well, guess what? There are a lot of really good trainers out there. And, hey, he's got a horse in it. My friend, it was fun knocking that around for a while. Yeah, we got some draft stuff done, but the horse racing stuff was a blast.
Steve, hope you're cashing, not trashing on Saturday.
Same with you. In fact, I hope you were cashing tickets that just make you smile. How about that?
We'll give it a shot.
Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure.
Whenever you need me, Steve. Thanks.
You got it. The great Jody McDonald. We will come back more in a moment. Brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia. Routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com and News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know. Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
I can see the suit sitting in the office right now, feverishly making notes.
I thought maybe airbase.
No, he's making notes. There's no airbase with him. Okay. Look, I mean, you've been at the company holiday parties. Okay. There's no way in the heck of the face of the earth he has any rhythm. Now, come on.
True.
Now, and again, what are we attempting to do here? Okay? Between Powerball and the racetrack, that's his pension plan.
That's probably not a good bet.
I'm just telling you. It's okay. Just want to make sure you know. Yeah. The heck.
So when he's wearing the barrel and suspenders on Monday?
That's just what he owns. There's a reason why he owns it.
You buy the dills, he gets the barrel.
Oh, golly. Yeah. All right. The young man who ended up, now whether he's the one that punked him or not, he got the phone number. How about that?
I think the other kid called the number. I think the other kid did the call. He got the number, but he's sitting there when the kid makes the call.
What do you do? I mean, first of all, I'm guessing the kid knows he did something wrong.
Well, I think they did say he called Shador Saturday night and apologized to him.
Well, at least something tells me that was spurred on by Dad.
Yes.
Okay. But at least he did it, you know. But there are like 5 or 6 other guys. I mean, Abdul Carter got a call, but Drew Rosenau said we knew that wasn't that wasn't an issue. They said we knew right away it was a prank. Tyler Warren did. I don't get what I'm missing something here. I mean, is there some lure to social media or internet fame that?
Well, one, and it's not something I realized until I had a child, there is a pile of people that are very rich from the internet that we have never heard of.
Yeah.
And I think that's, let's be honest. If you're of a certain age and a certain income bracket and, college is $80,000 a year and you don't see a way out of being poor other than, YouTube or TikTok or something like that at this point.
Yeah.
It's not great. Not great for our culture, as we can see over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. I've kind of, now maybe I may be completely wrong about this. It felt like the internet sensation stuff, which went on for a period of time, I felt like that's faded a bit. Social media influencers. I mean, have you ever in your life been influenced by somebody on social media about anything?
I mean, probably once or twice, but nothing major that I can remember. I've never bought a product because somebody endorsed it.
Neither have I.
And nor have I ever been. I think everyone kind of assumes I haven't been influenced by anything on social media just by listening to me. Like, what the heck do I care? I don't. It doesn't. I have nothing about it impresses me. How about that? Nothing. Zero. There's an old saying that works very well in social media. A little information is very dangerous.